family businesses, and a love of wool. So thank you so much for joining us, Leah.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm excited.
Great. So just to start us off, Leah, for anyone who's not familiar with Briggs and Little, can you give us a bit of history about your family business?
Sure. So Briggs and Little was actually established in 1857. So we are well over 100 years old. And it was actually my husband's family, so the Littles, that in 1916 they bought in. And so my husband is fourth generation, and our two sons that work here with us are fifth generation. I didn't come into the business until 2018, and that was due to my father-in-law deciding that he wanted to retire, when he turned 70. So he had been here for 50 years when he turned 70, and man, you want to talk about big shoes to fill. I came when I was in college. I met Mike, and I was actually studying to be a beautician, so hairdressing and cosmetics and stuff. And Mike was there, and he was studying marine mechanics. So we met in St. Andrews, New Brunswick, at community college. And then we got married the next year. And so my background was hair. And then when I decided I needed a different job, I went into Fredericton, and I worked at an accounting firm for about 12 years. And then, like I said, it was about 2016, 2017, when Mike and my father-in-law, John, approached me and asked if I would come and work with the family business, for the family business. And I said, no, not happening. There's no way.
Which I'm sure is exactly what you want to hear.
Yeah. So they didn't give up. And finally, I said, okay, I'll try it and see what happens. And I am so happy that I did. I love everything about Briggs and Little, the product, the team that makes the yarn, the team that's in the office, the team that's in shipping. It's just a yarny, warm, cozy family.
I didn't actually know this.
I'm so happy.
I was going to say, I didn't know this, Leah. I actually started at the Beehive in 2018. So we have the same timeline. Wow. Isn't that funny? And it was a very similar story for myself.
That's interesting.
Yeah, my stepmom came about, I'm not going to say her exact age at the time, but yes, big shoes to fill. She'd owned the business for over 25 years. And I'm the youngest of 4 daughters. And she sat me down and said, hey, it's time. I've got grandkids, she could kind of see changes to the business happening. And so she said, well, come test it out for a year. Come join me for a year, learn the business, and we'll see where it goes. And I joined on, started working on the storefront. And I mean, just like you, I never looked back. Like once you're in and you can feel the warmth of the community, of the team, the talent, the creativity, the product, the wool, the yarn, everything. Once you get sucked in, you can't let go. So I completely empathize with that part of your story. And like you, I never expected that this is where, the gratitude I have that this is where I've landed. It's just so fabulous.
Right.
So your mill is
like Velcro.
It is like Velcro, yeah, or like felting, but I guess that's I've been felted together with the store, but it was purposeful. It was meant to happen.
Right.
So your mill is vertically integrated. Can you talk about what that means?
So everything is done here in our building. We have 2 stories. So in the basement is where the raw wool is brought in. So we buy typically about 4 tractor trailer loads a year. Okay. And that consists of 40,000 pounds per tractor trailer.
Wow.
So they come They come packaged in 1,000-pound bales, so they're huge and heavy. And then we buy from local farmers too, like whoever we can get to bring their wool here that will work in our machinery. We do buy from the local farmers too.
And just for context, one fleece is a couple pounds, right? So the amount of sheep that we're talking about is a lot, hundreds, if not almost 1,000.
A lot.
Yeah.
Right. So we don't have any of our own sheep because it would take 250 sheep to be sheared per production day.
Wow.
So there's no way.
No, all of New Brunswick would be one big Briggs and Little sheep farm, I think.
Exactly. So the mill itself, downstairs is where everything comes in, raw wool, and it's washed, it's dried, and if we need to dye the raw wool to make our blended colors, that's done in the basement also. Our yarn dryer is down there. Our dye kettles are downstairs. So we have a huge raw stock dye kettle, and then we have 3 kettles that we can dye solid colors. So it's in skein form. And there's a 50-pound kettle, a 100-pound kettle, and a 260. So you can do a lot of yarn. Like the 50-pound kettle, that's 200 skeins of yarn.
That's amazing.
So
and a totally different scale. Totally different scale than I mean, I'm to say almost all other dyers in Canada who are operating with almost typically home kitchen appliances or pots or pans. Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of them do. So so we can mass produce compared to most people. So that's kind of the downstairs. And so once the wool is washed and dried and dyed if needed, then it's sent upstairs into what we call our picker room. And what happens in the picker room is the wool is blown into bins, and then if not needed, then it's bagged up. If needed to create one of our recipes, then the gentleman that works in the picker room will take whatever colors he needs, and he lays out what we call a recipe, just like cooking. He'll lay out the different color wools that are needed to make the yarn. So if it's a blended color, there could be 2 colors, there could be 6 colors. It just depends on what's going through. And then it goes into a machine that's actually called a picker. And what it's doing, it's picking apart the washed wool, getting rid of some more of the vegetable matter. And once it's through that machine, then it's blown over to our carding machine. And that's where the magic starts. Because once it gets into the card, then that is where everything is started to be combed into one direction, and it's created a nice web. And then at the end of the card is where our country roving is actually made. Once it comes off the end of the card, it can be put into the country roving cakes and packaged, and that's all done. If it's going to be made into yarn, then it will be taken from the card over to the spinning frames. And the spinning frames does exactly what it says. It spins the yarn. So it spins it around so that it gives it more resilience. And if it's 1 ply, then it will go from the spinning frame to the reeler. If it's 2, 3, or 4 ply, then it goes off to the twister, because if it's multiple plies, they have to be twisted together. So, and it's spun in one direction and it's twisted in the opposite direction, which gives it even more durability.
That strength,
Once that happens, then it will go off to the reeler, and the reeler is where the yardage is measured. So the machine that we call the reeler is all pre-programmed. So depending on if we're doing a 4-ounce 1 ply or a 4-ounce 2 ply, 3 ply, or 4 ply, the machine knows how many rotations is needed in order to give the correct yardage for that particular yarn.
And that's
so
actually
that's
something.
Why
I was going to say that's actually something that often knitters come to me and they get worried that their skein is a little oversized or undersized by weight. And it's key to know that, that operations like yours, they do it by the measurement, and it's how much fleece is in the yarn when it goes through the carding and the reeling and everything. That determines whether it's, 110 grams or 115 grams, but there should be the amount of yarn stated on the label.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So we have to, the labels have to have the weight measure, which is 4 ounces, and also the yardage. So, but it's the yardage that you need to go by, because it can, with a pure, with a natural substance like that, a natural product, the wool can dry out, or it can be humid. So depending on where you live or what the conditions are in your store or where you store it, some people will just leave it, in a basket in their living room. Well, if your house is humid, it can take on moisture. If your house is dry, then it can dry out. So there are so many variables to do with the weight of it that, it's just kind of a guideline, that 4 ounces. So, off to the reeler again. So that's where everything's measured. And once it's made into a skein, the 3 ladies that work at the reeler, they tie it off, and then they're put into 20 skeins, which is called a reeler bunch. Okay. And then that's taken to skeining and pressing. Yeah. And skeining and pressing is where they literally put it into a butterfly skein. So each and every one of our skeins is touched so many times by our team. But skeining and pressing, they are the ones that handle it the most. So they make it into a butterfly skein. Yeah. So that's what this is. And then they have to compress. We have 5-pound bundles. So that consists of 20 skeins. So they put the 20 skeins into our press, and then they tie it off, and then they fill their cart. And once they have that particular color done, the 2 gentlemen in shipping will come out and they take the cart and then they put it away. Okay. So that's kind of a quick and dirty description of what happens here for
that's
production.
Great. And I think it's really interesting too, like how, you've described each of the steps, but I also think it's interesting to know how many different products your mill can make, how many different bases, I should say, from, differentiating each step. So that country roving you talked about at first, for those of you who aren't familiar with it, it's what's called a pencil roving is another name for it. But basically it's there's no ply. It comes off. It's the rawest fleece that you can use. And the only twist that you're adding to it is as you're knitting it. So the result is something very rustic, but light and lofty. And that's compared to, for example, your 3-ply or like a single ply, which is nice and thin, or your 2 or 3-ply yarns, which start getting more and more strength, for those hard wearing socks or mitts or anything else. So, I know when my customers come in, looking for like outdoor jackets, or something with a lot of structure, we sell a lot of Tuffy for outdoors wear because, it's super resilient. It's got the added nylon in it, for even additional strength. So anyway, it's very cool about when you're hearing that vertical integration. I'm going, oh, that's that product, that's that product, that's that product, and it's all just different steps of the same operation.
That's right. Yeah. Yep.
Do you?
So we have. Oh, go ahead.
No, you go, Leah, please.
I was just going to continue on with the product line. So like you mentioned, the country roving is the rawest. It's 5-strand pencil roving. And then our sport is a 1-ply. And then we have Durasport, which is the 1-ply with the nylon in it. Yeah. Then there is Regal, which is 2-ply. We also have Heritage, which is 2-ply, but it's a little bit heavier than what the Regal is. Our Tuffy is the same as Heritage, but it has nylon in it. And then we have an Aran, it's a 3-ply. We have Atlantic, which is also a 3-ply. And we have Super, which is a 4-ply. We have Soft Spun. We've got it in 1 and 2-ply. We don't have a large variety in colors of that, just because it's kind of a niche yarn. So we haven't really expanded into that much. But yeah, you were talking about, the heavier yarns being for outerwear and whatnot. So if someone was come into our store and they wanted, a jacket, then we would definitely lead them more towards either roving, because it is super warm, or the 3 or 4 ply, because it's a bulkier weight and definitely warmer.
Absolutely.
So.
Yeah, that's great. And for those of you who are thinking to yourself, gee, Julia, that's a lot of really nice spaces that Briggs & Little has, and your store doesn't have nearly enough. We agree. So I was just chatting with Leah, and later today on our social media channels, we'll be having a survey go out for what base you would like to see at the Beehive from Briggs & Little. We definitely need more woolly goodness from the East Coast, and definitely more Canadian fiber. So let us know, people out there, what you want to see. We'll have some choices, and yeah, don't hold back the feedback.
So we love to get the feedback too.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. Leah, what's your favorite to use of the bunch if you had to narrow it down? I
am a heritage girl.
Yes,
and I think probably because it has the majority of our colors, it has the widest span of colors. But I knit mittens, socks, hats, sweaters, everything with heritage. That's my go-to thing.
Oh, that's great.
It knits up quickly.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, on a big
it's quick, and it's got lots of colors. So
yeah, it's great. We actually we carry heritage now, but we only carry it in the undyed. But it's and we do it for folks who want to come out to practice dyeing for their first time.
Right.
For weavers, it's fabulous warp for if you're doing heavy weaving. And yeah, we've just kept that one around. But there's so many colors to choose from, which I'll be honest is part of the reason why I don't carry more of it, because it's completely overwhelming when we look at the color shades. So I'll have to do some trial and error with your selection. Before we continue, I just wanted to give a quick preface to anyone watching this that both Leah and I are filming this in our storefronts. So I'm in the front of the Beehive. Leah's in the front of the Briggs & Little store there. So if anyone hears any noises or sees any action, it's because our stores are open and people are buying yarn. So bear with us. This is not a test. This is yarn shopping in October. So Leah, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about kind of family to family. We're 2 family-owned businesses in Canada. What was it like for you those first few years taking over from your father-in-law? You said it had really big shoes to fill. Can you tell me a bit about how that went?
Sure. So I've been a knitter since I was a child. My mom taught me to knit when I was little. So I wasn't new to knitting, but I was very, very new to manufacturing the yarn. So that was a huge learning curve for me. And I don't have anything to do with production, but I need to know the information, or at least I need to know who to go to or where to get it. So that took a while. Learning, all the steps. And as I just reiterated, going through the mill and all the different machines, I had no idea what those machines were, what they did, or it was a huge undertaking to come in and learn all that. But my father-in-law, John, was absolutely wonderful. He took me under his wing, and he was patient, and, he didn't mind my 40 million questions. So it took a while, to get everything so that I was confident about, speaking like this. But now it's just kind of second nature.
Yeah. And did you hear from, farmers or customers or anything about, the transition? Like, how did they react when it was the new generation who was coming in?
I think everyone was excited for me, but John was and is so well known. Being in the business for 50 years, he knew most of the customer base, not necessarily personally, but it kind of was personally, because he would talk to them on the phone, or if they came into the store, he kind of was the face of the business, because he worked in the office and he answered phones and helped out. So, yeah, I think everyone was excited though to have just a younger generation.
Yeah.
I mean, so I had different ideas, about marketing and social media. We really dove into that about 2019, 2020. I was like, okay, we need to get on board and, really improve our Facebook page and our Instagram page and start posting stuff that's just about us. So that was a big change because John wasn't really into the social media end of it.
Yeah.
So I have a lady that works here in the office with me, Heather McFadgen. She and I look after our social media, and she's a godsend. She does most of it throughout the year. I just kind of dabble in it now. And, but I love it. I have fun with it, so I don't mind doing the social media.
Well, it's just great to get the feedback from, it's that connection with your customers, especially for you, Leah. You have customers across Canada that are knitting with your product. And right. I'm sure much like us, when we sell our yarn, you kind of see your babies go out into the world and what becomes of you? Do you live under a bed? Did you become a sweater? Who knows? And when we get those pictures or emails or calls back from customers saying, I'm so proud of myself. Look what I made. Look what I gave someone. It's that's what makes it all worth it, really.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I can really relate to what you're saying about those big shoes to fill. My stepmom had owned, so the Beehive has been around for 120 years, but not all from my family. So it was different families, all local families. And then my stepmom bought the store in just before 2000, in about 1997. And so she had already kind of gone through the indie dyer change, the indie designer evolution that had happened in the kind of mid-late 2000s. And then by the time I came in 2018, much like you, Leah, it was, okay, social media, e-commerce, this whole new change. And it was very helpful for her, I think, to have someone like myself. This was before I had kids, so I had all the time in the world and to jump in and start the e-commerce store and create all the products and stuff like that. So it was quite a jump, but also, for her, it was such a relief to have someone that she knew who cared. I think that's something that family-owned businesses, especially in Canada, really struggle with. If your customer, if your family isn't interested, what do you do with the business? And so she was so grateful to kind of know that it was in safe hands. As much as as much as any of us can guess, but that we care.
I think you've done pretty well.
Well, it's time. I'm on year 5. We'll talk to me in 30, Leah. Yeah, I suppose.
That will come sooner than you think.
Yeah, no kidding. I know. Now I've got little ones and I can see them grow up. And now your family, your next generation is involved as well to a little bit. You've got 2 sons?
Yeah.
Yeah?
We have 3 sons.
Oh, 3 sons, sorry.
So our eldest and our youngest work here with us, and our middle son, Devin, is in Fort McMurray.
Fabulous.
He has his own business and his family's out there. So our eldest, John, he's kind of a John of all trades. He started out washing wool downstairs, and then there was an opening to come up into shipping. And so he's been in shipping for quite a while. He started in 2018 also. And I've been training him in the office to take over my responsibilities because I am so looking forward to retiring someday and just knitting.
So you're smart to think about this so far ahead, Leah. Get him cross-trained now.
Exactly. So, and then our youngest son, Carl, we call him CJ. He works out in the mill with Mike, and he is the head of our maintenance. We have a boiler that it heats all of our water and does all of our drying and whatnot. So we had to have someone with a boiler license. So he generously offered to do that and now has his boiler license. So he will take over the mill part when Mike decides it's time for him to retire.
Wow. And can you talk a little bit about this mill? So how old is the mill that you guys use?
So The business itself, of course, was 1857. The machinery that we have in the mill is antiquated. I believe the newest piece of machinery is a late 1950s or an early 1960s.
Wow.
There's a couple out there that are, I want to say it's like a 1965, but I think it's older than that.
Yeah.
So and that's, like I said, that's the newest piece.
Wow. Yeah.
So everything else is older than that.
That's incredible. And your mill, correct me if I'm wrong, it fell victim to fire several times in its history, right? Did that encompass, can we talk a little bit of that? That's just so dramatic. I can't imagine.
Yeah. So the most recent fire was 1994. And I remember it well because I was pregnant with our middle son, Devin. Wow. It demolished everything. The woolen mill just was gone. It was terrible. And they had to, it was my father-in-law at that point, John Little, and his partner, John Thompson. Mm-hmm. And they had a huge decision to make whether or not they were going to rebuild or just call it quits. Yeah. And thankfully they decided to rebuild. There were tons of letters and phone calls, and the support from customers and community was overwhelming. It was beautiful. So they had a lot of backing from people and customers, and they had to, of course, get loans and go to the government and work with them. Mm-hmm. So that all came into place, and the mill was back up and running. It was 96 or 97. I'm not quite sure the exact date. But so now everything is in. So the store that I'm in is attached to the office, which is attached to the mill. Right. And that wasn't like that before. The mill was always off on its own. It was its own building. But like I said, in the 94 fire, it was totally destroyed. So then they decided they were no longer going to build with wood. Yes. The building now is steel and concrete. Smart, so good. We, fingers crossed, there will not be another fire. Yeah, I'll knock on wood there on my side. Yeah. We've had a couple of floods. We have a bed of water just across the road from us. Mm-hmm. It's called the Northeast Branch of the Macadamia River. Yeah. It just looks like a pretty pond. But we actually use that water. It's filtered into the basement. Mm-hmm. So all of our washing is done with that. All of our dyeing is done with the water from across the road. Oh, really? And so... But try to it's a benefit until it's flood season, and it's worth noting that there are quite a few mills in the United States that had severe floods that ended up closing their operations. So kudos on you guys for the design of that mill, because it's there's less and less in North America, so we don't want to see Briggs and Little going anywhere. 4 times was enough. I think we're done. you got good karma for the next century, right? So you spent, it sounds like you've spent tons of your life around the mill. What are some core memories, some key moments for you, or favorite moments? So Mike and we got married in 1991. Mm-hmm. I was a mere 19, and we moved here to York Mills, where the mill is. His family, it might be 5 minutes, because it's a little bit of an uphill, but that's how close they lived. And then we built our first home. It was within 2 kilometers of the mill, on the same road. So, growing up, because I was so young getting married, I never ever thought about being here as an employee or as a partner or anything like that. And Mike didn't work here to start. He did as a teenager, he worked after school in the shipping department and helping out. And then he was in the office for a while. But he's a mechanic by trade.
Right.
So he worked other places also, and then came back here to work and take over. But some memories, our kids, that's the biggest thing. You know, bringing them here when they were little, and the wool bins. You know, once the new mill was built, our sons were born in 92, 95, and 99. So they were all little when, and CJ wasn't even here, being born in 99.
Yeah.
But we would bring them in, and, you know, in the picker room, there's these huge storage units where the wool is blown into, and you can literally run and jump into them and, you know, just lose yourself in the wool.
My 4-year-old would be right there.
Yeah, definitely. They would love it. So, I mean, even as an adult, you know, it's fun. You just let the kid out of you and go have fun. So that would be one of the, you know, the most fun memories of coming here and just playing around.
Yeah, that's so fun. I mean, yeah, my first memory of being at the Beehive is doing inventory in probably August, and in like the hot upstairs room, counting balls of yarn, being told that I had to count them again at 9 years old. But the number one thing that sticks with me is the smell, the lanolin smell, and a hot summer day. It just puts me right back to my childhood. Yeah, I can't. Even if like now when I close the shop for a few days, if I'm the first one in the morning, I just love it. It's so soothing to me. I can imagine how much stronger that feeling would be if I had jumped headfirst into a bin of wool, which I might actually be going on my bucket list now. I think that's something that I need to experience for myself.
Yeah, come visit and I'll let you jump in the wool.
Perfect. See, this is great social media content. We're good. This is great.
Oh dear. Yeah, but don't expect that, everyone. If you come here on tour, you know, it's just for Julia.
Absolutely, yes. This is yarn shop owner. You know, I don't get very many privileges in life, but jumping into the wool bins, that might be one of them. Well, I mean, we're talking about the wool bins. Let's pivot to talk about the wool a bit. So, I mean, are you working the farms that you're working with, the sheep that you're working with, are you getting one consistent breed of wool? Is it one type of wool? Can we talk a little bit about the farms and the sheep?
Yep. So typically the sheep that are around here are Corriedale, Suffolk, and what's the other one? I've totally drawn a blank. Isn't that terrible?
We'll circle back around.
Yeah.
So like say Rito
Corriedale. Now, anyway, so there's three breeds that we typically will buy, and the reason is their wool works well in our machinery. So the finer, the merino and stuff like that, it's too fine and it's too long and it wraps around the machinery when it's going through the card. If the staple is too short, then it just falls out.
Right.
If it's too long, it wraps around. So it has to be between 2.5 and 4.5 to 5 inches long to work perfectly. That's the prime length,
right.
You know, the good length. But yeah, and those sheep, we tell the farmers that we only want one cut, one shearing a year. You know, if they do, some farmers will shear twice, but that second shearing is too short. It won't work with our machinery. So we really try to get them to just shear once, and that works wonderfully. It's really hard to get colored wool, like natural, you know, brown sheep, gray sheep. The majority of the wool that we get brought in is just, you know, natural white sheep. So if anyone out there, you know, has a flock of dark sheep and they want to sell it,
hey,
you know, I wish there were farmers that had 250 or 500 sheep that were all colored.
Yeah, I know.
So
and that's something that we could get into a whole other conversation here about kind of sheep farming in Canada and the value of fleece and why farmers don't have these big flocks for the fleece specifically. But yeah, and just for translation, just in case there's anyone who's hearing who doesn't know, different sheep breeds have their fleece comes in different lengths. So something like a merino is a really short, crimpy little kind of piece of fleece, and those very soft short fleeces, it sounds like they just would muck up your system entirely. It needs to be a little bit longer. And then there's other breeds of sheep that what are called long hair or hair breeds basically, and anyway they can get to like 10 inches long, which also is not good. So there is that middle of the road. Yeah. And that just has to do with the twist and everything that we're putting into the wool. Yeah.
Right. The other breed was Dorset.
Dorset. There we go. Perfect.
Little Dorset.
You have to start talking about something completely different for that to pop into your brain, I think. Exactly. So you were talking about sheep that have like hairy wool. Yeah.
And that will not work in our machinery at all.
Right.
So anyone that has like a Scottish Black Stace or anything like that, or any cross, we just can't use the wool. It just does not perform.
Right.
So,
and if there's any farmers listening who think, oh, hey, my sheep breed might fit into something that Briggs Little White want, can they send you a message and kind of open up a conversation about that? Yeah, fabulous.
They can call us, or they can send an email. Usually the email that's used is yarninfo@briggsandlittle.com.
Perfect.
So it's nice and simple. But yeah, if they have any questions,
awesome.
We love that.
And so we've gone wool industry, yarn industry, retail industry, manufacturing industry. There's been lots of flux and change for us over the last, I'm going to say decade, but since about 2020 thereabouts. So both of us got comfortable, and then things started shifting really quickly. How have things changed for you? I mean, are you facing any new challenges or different challenges from when you started, Leah?
COVID was a challenge.
Sure was.
But really, it's hard. Like every year is different. Mm-hmm. We were talking earlier, about ebbs and flows of the business. But although it's different every year, it's the same.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense.
Makes sense to me as a business owner.
Yeah, might not to our customers, but you have your busy seasons, you have your quiet seasons, and then this year here in New Brunswick, it was so dry and so hot, so people weren't knitting as much. Now that it's starting to get a little cooler and we're finally getting a little bit of rain, people are calling and they're coming into the store and they're knitting, they're on their projects a little more. So it's, you just never know what it's going to be like year to year, but it basically works out to be about the same at the end of the year.
Yeah, we can kind of change everything. And that's before we started recording today, Leah and I were talking about how every year it's kind of, there's the dip. No one wants to knit in July. Everyone's gardening and traveling and everything. And so as business owners, especially when we were first starting, you go, oh, I hope my customers keep coming back. I hope they buy yarn again. And then as we head into the fall, or kind of knitting season, as I now refer to it in my day-to-day life, September, October, November, all of a sudden yarn flies out the door. Thank goodness. And certainly for myself as a, first-time business owner, to have my mom here with me to tell me it's been the same cycle for 25 years. It's the same cycle, when she went through the Great Recession in 2008, 2009, the same cycle continued, right? People take breaks and then they come back to their craft. I mean, I think that's one of the best things about knitting, is that it's there for you during times of joy with new family members, or you've got a new home or whatever it is. You want to knit to kind of celebrate those changes or those new people in your lives. But then it's also there as a comfort during periods of transition or uncertainty. So it's nice that our products are there to meet people wherever they are, wherever the world is.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, people might be a little concerned for Canadian businesses that kind of the new kind of tariff situation, everything with the States that might be impacting us. Does that impact your business at all, Leah? Or has that impacted your business?
Luckily, not with the yarn itself. So, like my husband, today is Wednesday. So on Wednesdays, if we have U.S. customers that have an order, he will go over to Vanceboro, Maine, and ship our parcels from there.
Right.
And we are so thankful that yarn does not fall into any category under the tariffs right now, and hopefully it doesn't. But we do have a U.S. distributor. It's Maritime Family Fiber, and Lacey Glidden is the owner's name, and another family business. It's she and her husband and their children. And she looks after probably 98% of our U.S. customers.
Yeah.
She's only about 2 hours away from us, so she'll put her order in. We get it all done up for her, and then she'll come here with her little minivan, and we plug it right full. And she heads back across the border. It's amazing what that little minivan can hold.
No doubt. And the good thing, wool is squishable. You don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. So she has been a blessing to us. She started, I think the year before I came to Briggs Little. So it was probably 2017 when she kind of signed on as trying to be our U.S. distributor, and has done wonderfully. So we are very thankful for Lacey. She's a blessing.
Yes. And it's just worth noting for anyone listening that Leah mentioned that yarn is exempt from tariffs. Now you're referring to your yarn because it is a Canadian product and manufactured in Canada. So that is very different than someone who might be a hand dyer, who's working with yarn that's imported from Peru or Italy. Those yarns are under the tariff. So there's a bit of a difference there. If anyone hears that and go, great. No, only Briggs Little is the secret sauce. That Canadian wool is key for these new rules that we're all adapted to.
Yeah.
Leah, you talked a little bit about your how you innovated in your company with social media and kind of updates. Has there been any change to your yarn itself over the years, or have you guys stayed fairly consistent?
There hasn't been a change in our yarn for a long time. Well, I don't know of any change, but I know, probably a century ago.
Yeah.
I'm sure there would have been some changes. But the thing with Briggs Little yarn is the machines only make it one way.
Yeah.
We can make different plies, we can make different weights, but it's always the same, it's always consistent, and Mike doesn't mess with the machines to try different things. He knows that this is tried and true, and that's what we're sticking to. Yeah,
and it's funny too. I mean, Briggs & Little is, you guys have been around for so long that you've kind of waited out different trends. For myself, getting started in the Beehive in 2018, when I first started, we had a lot of wool acrylic dominant yarns, acrylic blends and superwash blends. People were all over kind of that extremely soft and washable wool. And just in the last 6 years, we've noticed a huge transition back to the woolly wools. People really are starting to understand the benefit of working with something that might feel a little scritchier on the skin means it's going to last for generations. If it's worked properly, in the right pattern and the right gauge, you can achieve all sorts of different effects with it. And the resiliency and the washability. Really, unless you're dropping a latte or a minestrone soup or something on yourself, you don't, washing every week is not a part of our concerns. So it's kind of nice that, that Briggs & Little has had the forethought, but really the confidence to stand behind your product and say, you know what, even with, when the 80s and 90s came out and everything was superwash and acrylic, to just say, no, we're going to stick with it. And I think your customers, have kind of come back and refound you guys.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We have customers that's, they'll come in and they're, oh, my grandmother or my great grandmother always used your wool, and it was the only wool that they used, and now they're using the product.
Yeah.
So it's nice to see, those generations coming back and just using the pure wool, because it's it's a wonder product.
It is.
It really is.
Yeah.
You can't beat it.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking to Anna Hunter this past year, this past week, and she was telling us that in Canada, 1% of all textiles are made from wool. So the vast majority are from cotton, polyester, other synthetics like rayon and viscose and stuff, and wool is 1%. So, and that's all textiles, not just yarn, ready-made clothing and everything. So there's a huge opportunity for growth for wool as well, which is, hopefully kind of what the next couple decades go for us.
Exactly.
Yeah. I was going to say, have you found that people are using your products? I mean, you kind of talked about it. You can really use anything for any of your yarns for all sorts of different products. Are you finding this season, that people are you found some trends or anything that people keep on asking you about?
So a lot of people don't realize that Briggs Little is more than just a knitting yarn.
Yes.
You can knit and crochet with it, but rug hooking is a huge thing, and it has been, it's becoming more and more popular. I did a little interview with Deanne Fitzpatrick a little while back, and it's amazing how many people are into rug hooking.
Wow.
But also weaving.
Yes.
We have a lot of customers that are weaving the most beautiful things, and they're using Briggs Little.
Yeah.
Some will use One Fly, some will use Heritage, some will use Regal. So it's all very it's a diverse product, really.
Yeah.
You kind of have to think out of the box.
No kidding. And as a lifelong knitter, Leah, are you tempted to? Do you have rug hooking supplies or a loom in your future?
I have so many secrets. That's the thing with working here. I have access to way too many things.
I hear you.
And I bought a little loom. A lady that I met, she's a customer of ours. She had a loom for sale, and I thought, oh, that's great. So that is sitting in our office.
Yes.
We don't know how to use it yet, but we're going to learn. So yeah. That's just one example of the craziness that I can bring into the office.
Yeah, well, I think that's one of the most dangerous things about working with yarn is meeting your creative, talented customers and the inspiration that goes both ways. It's so fabulous when I have customers who come in that we start shopping for colors for a certain project, and we put the colors together, and then I go, what can I make with that color combination? That's really nice. And then you end up with a basement full of yarn. As it goes.
Exactly. Yeah. So, this year, my New Year's resolution was actually to learn to crochet.
Yes.
We're almost into November, and I haven't quite got there yet.
Yeah, absolutely. But on the flip side, everyone's grateful to receive their orders and email responses from you, Leah. So it's hard to do both. It's hard to...
Yeah, right? I'm busy.
Exactly.
Oh, dear. But I'm going to learn to crochet before December 31st. It may not be pretty, but I'm going to learn.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I mean, that's my guilty thing, too. I love knitting, but my crochet, I can basically do a single chain. Mostly for provisional cast-offs.
Yeah,
That's I don't know. My brain just doesn't work like that. It should. Maybe one day. Maybe we've had enough life challenges, Leah. We can cross over into the new crafts. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm trying to think, we've touched on so many different topics. Is there anything that you wanted to mention that we haven't talked about so far?
The only thing I would like to mention is to anyone that uses wool for anything, it's a natural product, and bugs and insects and moths love it because it's a natural product.
Yeah.
So be aware that if you've got a wool sweater in your closet, move it, shake it.
Yeah.
Put it in a nice container with a little bit of cedar chips or something that's, airtight. If you've got yarn that's sitting in your basket beside your chair and you don't use it all the time, shake it up, kick it over and
Yes.
just move it around, make sure, because it's, we have, we fumigate in here, and we have a company that comes on a regular basis to make sure that everything is good here. You can see behind me that we've got racks of yarn, and then there's cubicles. So Crystal will come out and she digs out all the yarn from the cubicles, gives them a shake, and makes sure that, that there's nothing going on in there. But if you do end up with something in your yarn or in your garment, especially if it's moths, you're best to throw the yarn away because it's so hard. It will be full of those little minuscule moth eggs.
Yeah, it looks like sand
So
for anyone who haven't seen it before.
Exactly.
It looks like grains of sand. Yeah. Yeah, and same with ours. So what people don't see in our store is in our racks and our shelving and everything. We have moth traps, we have cedar, we move our product around constantly. Like, we're full vigilance all the time. And one thing I hear from customers every once in a while, so if you have yarn, and you start working with it and you notice that it has breaks, more breaks than you expect, maybe you're on your fourth break, that's an immediate sign of moth damage. So just FYI, don't come to Leah and say there's something wrong with all your ladies that touch the yarn, they missed all these breaks. No, it might be moth damage. And it's not anything to do with cleanliness of your stash or your home or anything. One little moth can get in and wreak a whole bunch of tragic loss in your stash. So yes, it can definitely happen. We sell tons of moth repellents and proofing products here at the store. They're here in our mild climate on the West Coast. It's brutal every year, and every year some tragedy strikes. So thank you, Leah, for that incredibly insightful note, because it's the more tragedy we can prevent, the happier all our knitters and crocheters and rug hookers and weavers will be. Yes. Closed items. Yeah, the paper bags and plastic bags don't cut it. It's got to be something with a firm lid. Right. Yeah. No, thank you for that note, Leah.
Right. Yes.
Perfect. Well, this has just been such a great conversation. It's been so great contacting you. Thank you to your customers for for sneaking in. I've noticed a few people, and people may have noticed a little bit of my eyes moving across as I make eye contact with some of my customers and staff as they come in.
Me too.
Yeah, this is interviewing with real small businesses in Canada. We no doubt Leah and I will close this window and get back to customers, emails, and everything else that we've got going on our plates this busy knitting season. Great. Well, thank you so much, Leah, for joining us. And if anyone has any questions for myself or Leah, feel free to reach out to either one of us. If we mentioned something that you wanted more information about, or didn't touch on a topic you were hoping we'd talk about, we're always happy to continue this conversation one-on-one with any of our customers. And again, just a reminder to head over to our social media later today, where we'll have our little survey for what Briggs and Little yarn you'd like to see in the Beehive as we head deeper into winter.
Right. That's wonderful. And thank you, Julia. I really appreciate you taking the time to have this chat, and it's been wonderful.
Yeah, you too, Leah. Well, have a great day and enjoy your projects.
All right. You also. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.